Hello everyone. Here in this lecture I am going to deal about the male reproductive system. So in the previous part I dealt with the supporting structures of male reproductive organ, where I have dealt with the scrotum and the penis. So in this part I am going to deal about the male gonad testes, the system of ducts through which the sperm transported along the tract, and the accessory sex glands which contribute fluid part in semen. So basically this system produces sperm and it allows the sperm to mix with fluid part which is secreted by various accessory sex glands, and finally this all liquid portion, that is called semen, is move along the whole system of duct, and finally it is released as exteriorly through the external urethral orifice, or it may be ejaculated in the female reproductive tract. So here we'll discuss the organs that are associated with this all function. So watch this video till end, because here I'm going to give you a brief and very concise information which is to the point, and along with that I will draw here the figure of this all system, the organs that are associated with this system. So watch it very carefully so you may be able to draw it by yourself. So first I am drawing here the male supportive structure that I already mentioned previously in the previous part, that is the penis. So here is the mid-ventral part of the penis, the corpus spongiosum, and two dorsolateral masses are corpora cavernosa. Not going into detail but just mentioning here. And the supportive structure that attaches with the root of penis is the scrotum. So as we know that the scrotum externally looks like a single pouch, but internally it divides into two with the help of scrotum septum, and in this internal two compartment, these compartment contains testes within them, the male gonad. So in one sac, in one part there is one testes. Okay, so here is the testes, which is male gonad, and it is oval shaped structure which lies within the scrotum outside the pelvic cavity. So this is the only lateral view. So just imagine here I am drawing in a one side. So here you cannot be see the other side of the scrotum. Now just mentioning the boundaries. Here is the pubic area, which contains the pubic hair. Now we'll see the internal structure of testes here. Just enlarge this figure here so you might be able to see it very clearly. So the testes is a oval shape structure that lies within the scrotum, and it is weighing about 10 to 15 gram. So it is a paired male gonad, and it has three linings. Outer to inner there are three linings. So the outermost lining of testes is called tunica vaginalis. So tunica vaginalis have again two lining, that is the visceral and parietal. So the parietal is the outer lining, the visceral is the inner one, and this is called the tunica vaginalis. And inner to tunica vaginalis, tunica means lining, layer. Okay, so inner to tunica vaginalis is the tunica albuginea. So tunica albuginea lines along with this visceral layer of tunica vaginalis, and along with that it extend inward in form of compartment. Okay, so tunica albuginea extend inward in form of various compartment or the lobules. So this is the extension of tunica albuginea, where it form lobe-like structure, lobules. Okay, so this is tunica albuginea. So tunica vaginalis is a serous lining, parietal and visceral, and tunica albuginea is a white fibrous lining. Fibrous connective tissues are there in this tunica albuginea, and it moves in and form various lobules. There are the various extensions. So apex pointing inward, and at the periphery you can see the base. Okay, so in each testis around 200 to 300 lobules are present in one testis, and the innermost lining of the testes which line the lobule, which line in the inner aspect of lobule here, is called tunica vasculosa. Not drawing in all. So this is the green one is the tunica vasculosa. So as the name suggests, vasculosa means it is rich in blood vessels. Okay, so this lines the inner aspect of the lobule. Now in each lobule there are 2 to 3 or 1 to 4 highly coiled convoluted tubules which are present in each lobule are called seminiferous tubule. So these are the seminiferous tubule. Let me draw in all the lobules. So in each lobule there is 1 to 4 highly coiled convoluted tubules, seminiferous tubule, which are present in the lobules. So just have a look on the interior of these seminiferous tubule, because they plays very important role in formation of sperm. Okay, so here we'll see, this is the connective tissues. These are the connective tissues lining the seminiferous tubules, and inner to that is the basement membrane. Here it is, basement membrane. So these seminiferous tubule contain two type of cells within the wall of these tubule. So the two type of specialized cell which lying within the wall are the, one is spermatogenic cell, spermatogenic cell. It means these are the cells which are responsible for formation of sperms. Okay, so these are the spermatogenic cell which lying within the wall, and the other which lines which are embedded within these wall, and they are columnar tall cells extending from the basement membrane till the lumen. Here it is the lumen. Okay, so these specialized cells are called Sertoli cells. Okay, so these are the Sertoli cell. Or sustentacular cell. So Sertoli cell or sustentacular cells extends from the basement membrane till the lumen, and it is embedded within the wall of seminiferous tubule along with these spermatogenic cell, and these are the nurse cell because they nourishes these all spermatogenic cell, because they remove excess cytoplasm that are present in these cells. So they phagocytose these cytoplasm, they nourishes them, and make them to mature sperms. Okay, make these spermatogenic cells to become mature sperm, and this is the function of Sertoli cell. So here are the mature sperm cells. So altogether these allows the spermatogenic cells to undergo into various developmental process like spermatogonia, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, then to spermatids and mature sperms, and along with that these also releases some fluid that pushes the sperm which are being attached with the wall. They pushes the sperm to move in the lumen, to enter into the lumen and move along the tract. Okay, so this is the lumen. So this is the lumen. So these Sertoli cells allow the sperm cells to move along the tract. So they pushes with the release of some fluid. Okay, so Sertoli cells nourishes these spermatogenic cells, and along with that, in between two seminiferous tubules. So suppose here is the one seminiferous tubule, this is the another seminiferous tubule, and in between these seminiferous tubule there are specialized type of cells which are lying within in between these seminiferous tubules are the Leydig cells. These are called Leydig cells or interstitial cells. Which plays very important role in formation of male androgen hormone, which is called as testosterone. So the male hormone testosterone, which is mainly responsible for masculine characteristics, is usually being released by these specialized cell that is called Leydig cells, which lies in between the seminiferous tubule. Okay, so let's come with this internal structure of testes here. So here we have seen in the lobules there are 1 to 4 highly coiled or convoluted tubules which are called seminiferous tubules, and these are responsible for formation of sperm cells, and the Sertoli cells responsible for nourishment of these cells and allow them to move along the duct system. Okay, after this seminiferous tubule, what happened, as the sperms form there, they move through the seminiferous tubules and come here in this lining. Okay, so after this seminiferous tubule, the sperm comes here in this tubule, and this tubule is called as straight tubule. These are straight tubule. Okay, straight tubule. From here these all move medially, where all tube form a network of tubules. So these all straight tubule merge medially and form network of tubule, where it is called as rete testes. So from seminiferous tubule, the sperm and the fluid pushes through this duct system, goes into the straight tubule, then comes into the rete testes. Now from rete testes, what happened? There are few tubules which are highly coiled. They move up here in the part which is present posterior to this testes is called epididymis. So some tubules from rete testes move up in the epididymis, and in epididymis there are again 3 parts. The upper part is called head, the middle part one is the body, and the inferior last part is called tail. So all few coiled ductules move up in the head of the epididymis. So these ducts here are called efferent duct. or the vasa efferentia. Okay, so these coiled ducts move up and form highly coiled area in the head of epididymis, where it forms the head of epididymis, and there they merge together, okay, and move down in the body and tail part. And here this duct called as ductus epididymis. This is the duct of epididymis. Okay, so here the ductus epididymis or the duct of epididymis form a single convoluted tubule, single coiled tubule, and once it reaches in the tail region, it becomes less convoluted, and from here it becomes more wide and form the other tubule named vas deferens or ductus deferens. So what happened? The duct in epididymis, which is highly coiled in the head area, now it becomes less convoluted and it descends down, and in the tail portion it becomes more wide and forms straight tubule, and which is here called as vas deferens or the ductus deferens. So here the function of epididymis is to store the sperm for several months if they are not ejaculated, or if they became degenerated, then reabsorption also take place in this tubule itself. And also it allows the sperm to become mature. It make the sperm to motile as well as make them to penetrate the secondary oocyte, so it become fertile. So the sperm maturation took place in this duct of epididymis or in the epididymis part. Yes. Now the sperm which is being formed in the seminiferous tubule, it moves along these all duct system. From seminiferous tubule it goes in straight, then rete testis, efferent duct, then duct of epididymis, and then in the vas deferens. Now along with this whole track, now where it goes, before I show you, let me draw some important figure here. So here is the vas deferens. It moves up, and here is the bladder. Then inferior to that is the one accessory sex gland, that is the prostate here. Below to that is the deep muscles of perineum, and in these muscle there is the another gland which is the size of pea, Bulbourethral gland. And the major duct here is urethra. So let me mention the name of this all structure. This is the bladder, prostate gland, bulbourethral gland, or it may be called as the Cowper's gland, and the deep muscles of perineum, and the major duct urethra. And here is the another duct, ureter. Okay, so this vas deferens, so this is the vas deferens that ascend up, and when it is ascending up, it runs along the spermatic cord. So spermatic cord is a cord-like structure that contains various other structure, like the cord contains the vas deferens, the 𝗾𝙲𝗏 muscle that covers the testes, that we discussed in the scrotum part in the previous part. So it contains, the cord contains the vas deferens, 𝗾𝙲𝗏 muscles, certain blood vessels, nerves, lymphatic vessels. These all run along through this spermatic cord, and finally this spermatic cord moves in the inguinal canal. So this is the canal like structure that pierces the anterior abdominal wall, and this canal contains the spermatic cord, and along with that this vas deferens finally moves in the abdominal cavity. Because what happened here, you can see this structure lies outside the pelvic cavity, but once this vas deferens ascend up, it runs along the spermatic cord. The spermatic cord moves in the inguinal canal, and this inguinal canal allows the spermatic cord and the associated structure to move in the abdominal cavity. Okay, so once it pierces, the vas deferens pierces and it runs along the inguinal canal, it moves in the abdominal cavity, and finally what happened, here you can see it goes sideways to the bladder, then form loop over the ureter. It is forming the loop over the ureter, and at the distal part it becomes slightly enlarged. Okay, so this vas deferens at the distal part is called ampulla because it is slightly distended here. Okay, now in the posterior aspect there is one more accessory gland here which is present, and it is again the coiled gland. This is called the seminal vesicle here. So here is the seminal vesicle which lies posterior to the bladder. So what happened here, this dilated portion of vas deferens and the duct of this seminal vesicle merge together here. They merge together here and form a common duct that connect with this urethra here is called ejaculatory duct. Ejaculatory duct. So how this ejaculatory duct is being formed? The dilated portion of vas deferens and the duct of seminal vesicle merge together to form ejaculatory duct that directly opens into this urethra. Okay, so in a similar manner of this epididymis, what vas deferens does, it allows the sperm to move all along this duct system before ejaculation. Okay, so it help in peristaltic contraction. The muscles lying within this duct allows the sperm to move before ejaculation. Okay, it stores sperm for several months if they are not being ejaculated. Okay, and the degenerated being reabsorbed within the wall of this vas deferens. Okay, so in same manner it does work. Now at the distal part, what happened, this dilated portion and the seminal vesicle duct merge together to form a common duct that is called ejaculatory duct, and this ejaculatory duct opens into the urethra. Okay, so this is 2 cm long tube ejaculatory duct that opens inferiorly to this prostate, and from here it merges with the main duct that is called urethra. So urethra is a 20 cm long duct system which is a common passage for the excretion of urine which is being stored in the bladder here. Yes, and it is the passageway for release of semen exteriorly also, because the semen which is being released from this ejaculatory duct is now enters into the urethra itself. Okay, so the urethra is the common passageway for excretion of urine as well as for the semen exteriorly. So it is a 20 centimeter long structure, but whatever the structure comes in relation with this urethra, according to them, it is named that when it move along this prostate, when it is passing through the prostate, it is called as prostatic urethra. So the part which is being crossed, the part of urethra which is being crossed through this prostate is called prostatic urethra, and once it become descend down and when it crosses through this deep muscles of perineum, then here it is called as membranous urethra. Okay, and when the part of urethra that run along this corpus spongiosum, here it is called as spongy urethra. So depending on the structure that are being associated with the urethra, it is being named three: prostatic urethra, membranous urethra and the spongy urethra. So now the sperm which is being moved through this vas deferens now enters into the ejaculatory duct, and here it moves along this whole urethra with a different part of the urethra, and finally it comes out through the external urethral orifice. Okay, so this is the whole duct system through which the sperm which is mixed with the fluid part comes along through this duct system exteriorly. Okay, now the other important part is what are the accessory sex gland which are responsible for the formation of liquid portion in the semen. Okay, so what is semen? Semen is a mixture of sperm plus seminal fluid, and the seminal fluid is the fluid part that is being contributed by various duct system as well as with the accessory sex gland. Okay, so there are basically three accessory sex gland: seminal vesicle, prostate gland and the bulbourethral gland or the Cowper's gland. So seminal vesicle is a convoluted pouch like structure that lies posterior to the bladder, yes, and it is connected through a duct by this ampullary part of vas deferens, and combinedly they are forming ejaculatory duct. So this seminal vesicle releases 60% of fluid in the semen. Okay, so it is the major contributor of the liquid portion in the semen, and its secretion is highly alkalinic in nature, and it contains fructose, prostaglandin and some clotting protein. So fructose is essential for the energy for the sperm, for production of ATP, and prostaglandins are very important and essential for smooth muscles contraction. So once the semen is ejaculated in female reproductive tract, what happened? This prostaglandin help in smooth muscle contraction of the uterus. So thereby the sperm reaches the fallopian tube for fertilization. Okay, and the clotting protein are responsible for coagulation. So once the ejaculation took place, the semen become coagulated, it become thick, yes, with the help of clotting proteins. Now the other gland which lies inferior to the bladder, which faces the base toward the bladder and apex downward, is the prostate gland, and this also contributes about 25 to 30% in semen, and the composition of this is mainly the citric acid. It is also alkaline in nature and it contains some proteolytic enzyme also. So citric acid is essential for ATP production by the sperm, and proteolytic enzymes are essential for breakdown of clotting protein which is being synthesized by the seminal vesicle fluid. So it breaks the clotting protein and make the semen re-liquefy and allow the semen to become thin, and somewhat the milky appearance of the semen is also because of the secretion of prostate gland itself. Yes. Now the third accessory sex gland, which lies beneath this prostate in the deep muscle of perineum, which is about the size of pea, is the bulbourethral gland. So bulbourethral gland is also known as Cowper's gland, and it also releases some secretion directly in the urethra, mainly the mucus. So before ejaculation it releases the mucus to make this whole urethra lubricated and also protect the sperm from being destroyed by the acid content of the urine which is present in this urethra. So it make the urethra moist, and it lubricate it, and also it lubricate the tip of glans penis for easy penetration. So this mucus protect the sperm from being damaged by the acid content of urine as well as the acidic environment of female reproductive tract. So these are the three accessory sex glands that combinedly contribute in the fluid part of semen, and along with that some fluid part is also contributed by these seminiferous tubules also. So here in this lecture we have discussed with the male reproductive organs, the male gonad, testes, which are paired gland lying within the scrotum, and the system of ducts that are responsible for the transportation of sperm along the whole duct system, and the accessory sex gland which are responsible for making the sperm to mix with the fluid part. So these are the three accessory sex glands: seminal, vesicle, paired sex glands. Prostate is only one unpaired gland, and the bulbourethral is also paired gland. So this is all we have discussed in this lecture. Thank you.